Hi everyone, this is Gian from Earth Haven, and today I'm sharing my stories. This is a continuation part 2 of how I came to Earth Haven, starting Earth Haven, initiating Earth Haven, and how I formulated the master plan. Master plan and Earth Insurance part 1, 2, and 3, please watch them so you can see what's going on. How all of this came together took a couple of years. It didn't just happen overnight, like, oh, I have an idea, let me do this. It all came from an actual experiences that I had. I had actual experiences with people in this reality outside. For 3 years of my life, I did direct sales in selling educational software. Now, I live in a third world country, and in a third world country, when you enter the educational system, you realize that out of 27,000 schools, most of them in your country are located in poverty restricted areas, in very rural areas. It's You realize that there's a lot of poor people, and you realize that your education system is broken. And then you realize, as you visit school after school and you see child after child, family after family, you start seeing, holy crap, there's a big problem in this world. Children in school trying to educate themselves hasn't had a meal since they woke up. That means they haven't had a meal for the entire time they've been sleeping as well. And they've been sitting in school for 4 or 5 hours without a meal. And they've been trying to learn. And they've been trying to read. But the focus isn't there. They're hungry. They're focused on survival. They're focused on, what am I going to eat? When am I going to get enough food? They're focused on going home for that meal that they get every day, dinner. And at first, as me going to dozens of schools, dozens, and I mean dozens of schools. I went to a lot of schools here in South Africa. I went to the richest school in South Africa, all the way down to the poorest schools in South Africa. And the richest schools, there was a few. The poorest schools, there was plenty. There was more than enough to go around. You couldn't miss a poor school. There was just so many. In every classroom, there's about 70 children in a poor school. In a rich school, you get 24, 30. All right? And that's still maybe a bit high, but it's all right. So I spent 3 years doing this. I have spent hundreds of hours of my time in more than 300 families' homes, of which 75% of those families that I saw were poor. And I'm going to give you some examples. I one night went to a house, and in this house there was a father, a mother, and two children, two young boys, 13 and 9. They were, one was pretty oldish, one was younger. And as I was sitting in their house to do a presentation for this educational program that I have, I noticed the boys was as skinny can be. Like they were just bone. And while I was sitting in their house, the mom was busy cooking. I got my laptop out, got my books, my papers out. I sat down, I introduced myself, I got everyone's names, and the mom came out and she said, "Sorry, I'm gonna be in the kitchen busy cooking." And I said, "No, it's fine, I'll talk to the dad, I'll talk to the kids." And as I sit there, I see the kids can't focus. They didn't have a focus with them. Because I'm trying to talk, but the whole time they're looking towards the kitchen. The whole time their focus is towards the kitchen. And the dad is listening, dad's listening, but he's shaking. His legs is shaking up and down. His legs is shaking. And I'm talking and I'm talking and I'm talking about education. I'm talking about what's the best way to learn, what's the best way to integrate information, and how words are important, and how words are the building blocks. And I keep explaining and showing examples, but the kids are not here. They're not focused. And the mom comes out of the kitchen every now and then. She says, "Food will be ready soon." And I'm like, okay. And I realized this is a big thing they're focusing on tonight: food. Even though they knew that I was coming for this presentation. But food seemed to be more important at this moment. And the mom coming out with 2 little plates, and she gave one to her oldest son and another one to the youngest son. She came out again, she gave one to the father, and she gave one to me. Here I got a little plate of food. The plate was very small. The amount of food was very little. It was a little bit of porridge and a sausage. And that was their dinner. And the mom came out and she sat down, and I didn't see her with a plate. She didn't have food. So I was wondering, okay, she's probably not eating. But then the mom opened up. She said, "Sorry, the boys hasn't had anything to eat yet today. That's why we're so focused on food now. I can understand they're pretty hungry." And I realized, that's why they haven't been able to focus on education. They haven't been able to focus on reading, writing. They've been hungry the whole time. And then the amount of food the mom brought out wasn't a lot. It was canned sausage, meaning it's sausages you get in a can and you heat them up on the stove. And it's probably even not real meat. Then the porridge had a little tomato sauce on it. So I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, am I eating the mother's food right now? Because she doesn't have a plate, but she gave me her food. And it turned out that was the case. And she said she wasn't hungry. So I ate the food out of respect, out of honoring that moment. But I didn't continue my presentation much longer after that. And I left. And for the first time in my life, I appreciated the food I was eating the most. I never in my life realized I could appreciate food that much. A mother gave up her only meal that she had for the whole day. The 2 boys would have appreciated that meal even more, to have extra sausage and extra porridge. The dad was very kind to let me have his wife's food. I live feeling bad because I have more than enough food, the basics. And here's this family that they haven't had food all day, and I know the school they're coming from is not a very good school. It's a school for poor kids, and you don't pay school fees. And I left with this feeling of super uncomfortability. I was like, how is this possible? How does this exist? I know the dad works, the mom works, they don't earn a lot, they don't do great jobs, it's all they got. They have a little house that they rent for quite a lot. Rent is high, where you don't earn a lot, any rent is high. They send their kids to a free school. They provide their kids with the basic needs to attend school. But they can't provide basic needs for a whole day, such as food, your most basic needed component to have energy, to be able to focus, to have an education. So this was one of the moments of my life where I realized I need to do something, because this is not acceptable. I will continue in part 3. Subscribe and don't miss the stories. Thank you.